Women Taking the Lead, episode 76.
Leadership is all about, how you have people in the company, how you get them moving in the same direction, how you inspire them to reach their potential. But it's also, in today's economy, it's also about leading once they're gone.
Hello, my name is Jody Flynn and welcome to Women Taking the Lead, where we are all about creating blasts of inspiration to help you overcome self-doubt so you can lead with confidence, integrity, and a sense of humor. Head over to womentakingthelead.com to get the solutions to your top 5 leadership challenges. Now, your future awaits, so let's get started. Hello and thank you everyone for joining us today. I'm here with Lee Caraher, who started Double Forte in 2002 as a new kind of communications firm designed to provide the best service in the business. Previously EVP at Weber Shandwick, president and founder of Red Whistle, and VP of SEGA, the video game company, awesome. Caraher has managed multiple offices and hundreds of people of all ages and was named in the 40 Under 40 by industry publication PRWEEK. She serves on the boards of KQED Public Media and Grace Cathedral. She is a member of Entrepreneurs Only, and Caraher holds a BA in Medieval History from Carleton College, which she finds useful every day. I'm going to have to hear more about that, Lee. And she lives with her husband and 2 sons on the San Francisco Peninsula. Okay, Lee, that's only a little intro for everyone. So tell us more about you and your own beginnings.
So I was born on the East Coast and then went to college in the wilds of Minnesota, because I really felt I should get out of New England, when someone was going to pay me to do that, and really open my eyes to other places in the world. And so I did go to Carleton College, which is in Minnesota, and I have a degree in medieval history, which I do find useful every single day. Not because I'm studying medieval history every day, but what the study of history helps you do is investigate, articulate, and defend a point of view, which is what I do every single day for my clients in the practice of public relations and social media. Long story short, moved back to Boston, worked there for a while, and then I was diagnosed with the sun. They didn't know what it was called then, but I was sun sensitive, so I was very depressed in one winter. I was going to work at 6 a.m., coming out of work at 8 p.m., never seeing the sun. So I went to the doctor and they said, Lee, you're sun sensitive. You need to get more vitamin D, go in the sun. I'm like, I can't get any sun. I'm working all day. Well, then you should go to a tanning booth. Well, I'm of Irish descent, and I just looked at the guy and I'm like, I'm going to be a potato chip in a week. So my parents at the time, they lived in San Francisco. And I said, well, I'm just going to go where the sun is. So I went and I said, I want to move to California. And I called these headhunters who'd been calling me because I was specializing in this certain industry that didn't have many people in it. I said, get me to California. So they got me to Los Angeles, of all places. I didn't know a soul. I was 27 years old. I'm like, all right, we're going to LA. And from there, sort of took advantage of not knowing anybody, really branched out and changed my life that moment. So, because I really found out that I could be by myself, that I could go to dinner by myself, that I could, create a career without knowing anybody. And that was really sort of interesting.
That must have been incredibly empowering to know you had that within you.
I was very excited and nervous at the same time. It was actually during the Los Angeles riots. So everyone was like, you can't go. And I said, I'm going. And I actually got a National Guard escort through the streets of Los Angeles to Marina Del Rey, where I had my corporate apartment. And finding out that you could do all these things by myself, and I didn't have to, count on other people, or my worth wasn't attached to who I was seeing every day, which is sort of counterintuitive Los Angeles, was incredibly powerful.
And something we spoke about offline was that you will also be visiting Southern Maine because your dad lives part-time in Scarborough.
That's right.
Which is minutes from where I am.
I can hardly wait to see you.
We've already bonded.
I will not see my father. I'll just come see you, Jody.
Yeah, now people can tell we've had quite a chat. Before, we said before recording, just so everyone kind of gets the background, I'm like, at some point we have to hit record and start this conversation. Well, Lee, it's great to have you on. And clearly you've had success in your life. You definitely, I mean, just the age of 23, 24 to gain that kind of confidence is incredible. But confidence is one of those things sometimes where it comes, it goes, we have our moments, right? Where we forget who we are. So if you don't mind, share with us a time when you were playing small and you may not have been aware of it. It may have only been in retrospect that when you woke up and realized, oh my goodness, what is going on? Share with us the story and the lessons you've learned.
I mean, I think playing small, it was interestingly, it was in Los Angeles when I worked and lived in LA. Like I said, I didn't know a soul. I met a friend through a friend and all that kind of stuff, and hung out with this Pasadena rugby team, through whom I eventually met my husband. That's a longer story. But I was working in a place that was really demeaning, that I was achieving. I won a lot of awards at this place, but it was a place where all of my work, which was a lot of throughput, was, I don't know what the word is, but it was diminished by the people around me, in particular, I won't say their name, but in particular the people who I was working for, who, second guessed every little thing. And sort of about 2 years into that, everything I didn't make a move without thinking about, oh my God, am I going to get my head snapped off? Or, is this going to be bad or is that going to be bad? And really was not branching out. I had a lot of opportunities in front of me, but I just felt like I couldn't take them because everything was being second guessed. At the same time, I was winning all these awards for my work. So it really, it's so interesting how much other people can have an impact on how you think about yourself, even when you feel confident. Here I had moved across the country, didn't know a soul. I was winning awards, but it felt small. The interesting thing, I turned 30, and my parents gave me a trip to a spa. So I went to the spa in Palm Springs, which I'd never done. I'd never gone on vacation by myself ever. And so I went 10 days. And the first 4 days I slept. I don't really remember much of it. I just slept. And I sort of, over the next few days, sort of came out of my fog. And I met these cool women. I was hanging out with the women, working out, eating, bare chicken breasts, or, what. Actually, there was this woman who stole other people's food. She was so hungry. And it was like, you know what? Screw it. Screw it. I'm really good at what I do. I don't need to have these kind of people in my life. And I left those 10 days saying, I'm just going to focus on having great people around me. And I did. I got rid of some people I was dating. They were they weren't positive. They weren't adding to my life. They were sort of sucking the soul out of me. Got rid of those guys. I quit my job and went to a bigger job where I was really valued. Didn't stay there very long because I was recruited, like you said earlier, at SEGA. But the smallness was about not believing I could, and actually believing what people told me my worth was. And once I broke myself out of that, I was really able to see myself in much bigger spaces.
That is hugely, confidence, yes, it is something that comes from the inside, and we have to believe in ourselves in order to have it. But our environments have a big impact on how we see ourselves. We see ourselves through other people's eyes, like what's reflected back at us, and the people and the environment say a lot about who we are. So if it feels like a disconnect, then we have to change it.
Have to. And that's my company today. We're all when I created this company today to do the same thing I've always done in my career, but in a way that I feel good about it, in a way that people around me can feel really good about their contributions. And it's all about, who's on that bus with me. We don't recruit, we recruit for the person, and it might be the wrong title, it might be the wrong level, but if we can find that right person, we will bring them on our bus and move the people around on the bus until they're in the right position, because finding great people you want to actually show up with, that is so liberating. It is so powerful that, I know that these people are not going to be with me forever. They have their own careers, they have their own aspirations. But what I find so powerful about, and what is really such an honor for me to be able to say about my company, is that so many people, they're here longer than they think they're going to be. They might show up thinking they're going to be here for a couple of years, and they end up staying 4 or 5. And then I help them get that next job because they say, Lee, I want to do this in my career. I'm like, all right, let's figure out how to get you there. And then they come back. Either they come to work for me again, or they recommend us, or they become a client, or I become a mentor, or they become my mentor. And that people piece, is so, so important to fulfilling business life.
Oh my God, that's huge, Lee. And thank you for sharing that, because I love hearing stories of companies that don't just get rid of people because they're not working out, like finding other opportunities, because you hired them for a reason.
Exactly.
There was some potential and talent you saw within them that they could contribute to your company, so that like there really is a commitment to the person that you're taking on. And on the flip side too, as much as I say, if you're and people around you in your environment are not reflecting back to you how you see yourself, you have to change it. Well, it doesn't always mean leaving. It can mean changing things from the inside, because I've been in different jobs where I was like, oh, I don't like this, or I don't like the way things are going. But that doesn't mean I jump ship. It means I make a difference from the inside too.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's the key. The key is that you tried. The key is, the more of us who can take the high road and not rub it in people's faces, right? But take the high road and try something new, and not say, I told you so, I told you so. That's not good. I mean, that's just negative energy. But the more people can say, it's all judgy. There is not a job that people show up for and that it fully meets their expectation. It does not exist, right? So you're going to show up to a job, and it's going to be different than you thought. And the key is what are you going to take out of it? Like what are you going to learn there? What are you going to take from this experience? And the truth is, the more you give, the more you take, the more you get out of it. Period. So that frame of reference, I think, is one that keeps you in places longer, so you can wring everything you can out of it. And sometimes. And what the enduring thing, right, is your attachment to the entity that allowed you to do that. It used to be that, my mom, our parents, boomers, silents, greatest generations, they expected to be in one place for a very, very long time. They expected to go into a company and stay there forever and a day. And if they showed up every day, the company would then honor that sustainability with a nice gold watch or a pension or whatever, right? That is not today's reality. Today's reality is that we're telling our young people, 20 to 35-year-olds, 10-year-olds to 35-year-olds, don't count on a company to make your career. You have to craft your own career. And we're telling them that because so many boomers and Xers and silents have are working much longer than they thought they were going to work. They've lost their pensions. They've lost their 401k. The economy, as soon as the economy tanked, these companies tanked, and they let go of people. So we're telling our young people, craft your own career, but we haven't necessarily adjusted our companies to that reality, right? So the reality is we're telling all these people, craft your own career. So they're coming into companies expecting to leave. And we need to shift our mind to that. So we know they're going to leave. How do they become valuable not only when they're in our company, but when they've left our company? And how do you create an entity, a company, an organization that engenders that kind of loyalty that goes beyond when they're employed by you? And, that is the flip. That's the flip of the brain that you really have to do in today's business to have sustainability in the long term. And, I think people think about it as big companies, but more people are employed by small companies than are employed by big companies in this country. The small company, small to medium-sized country, is the engine of the country. And we all, if you have a small business, you could have 2 people, you could have 100 people. That's still a small business. You'd be thinking about the long-term longevity of your company is really about not who stays with you forever, but who is loyal to you forever, wherever they are.
That is so huge, Lee. And I love how you said that, because, this, the whole Gen Y and how to get along with them in the workplace is such a big, it's such a big thing, right? Like, people wanted to hire me to do a training on it. I'm like, that's not my thing.
Well, sorry. I wrote a book on the topic, Jody. I mean, it was such a big deal that I wrote a book on the topic, and I do now, even though my business is, mostly public relations and social media, about a quarter of my time. In fact, tomorrow I go down to Santa Barbara to spend the day with the city of Santa Barbara specifically on this topic because it's so negative. People think so negatively about it as opposed to taking the opportunity to say, you know what, things are different. Let's find out the positive. It is kind of tiring, though. If it's not your thing, it's not your thing, for sure.
Right. I'll refer to you. I'll be like, you need to talk to my girl, Lee. So, no, but I loved how you said that, like, okay, they're coming on and they're not expecting to stay, right? And we can relate to that like it's a bad thing, or we can relate to it like it's a good thing. Like, what can we give them that they will take with that? Like, I love that then they're loyal forever. Like, they will always refer back to your company. They'll probably help you find your next employees.
Oh, well, that's the give back, right? The give back is I was talking to Jody and oh my gosh, you should hire her. You should hire. I don't know how you're going to get her, but you need to hire her. And so I come and talk to you, Jody, and I want to hire you. And you're like, Lee, I'm not moving to San Francisco. I'm not moving to Boston. We have an office in Boston. I'm going to stay in Maine, and I don't want to do what you do, but, I love what you're doing, so let's figure out how we can work together. And then, 5 months later, you're out in the world doing something, and an opportunity shows up, and you're like, ding, 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 let me call Lee. And that's sort of thinking about, but the only way I was introduced to you is because this person who used to work for me said, you need to go hire Jody. Thinking those are all, we need to be shifting our brains around the alumni group of our entities, right? It's really important. Right. Leadership is all about, how you have people in the company, how you get them moving in the same direction, how you inspire them to reach their potential. But it's also, in today's economy, it's also about leading once they're gone.
Mm-hmm. And that generation is better at having weak links. So, instead of
absolutely,
close acquaintances, they've got weak links. So they actually have a broader network.
Tremendously.
And more information than we have.
Totally true.
Yeah. Totally true. Okay. Well, we could talk about this for a while. So I'm gonna move on for the sake of getting through the interview. But thank you, Lee. No, I totally goaded you into all of that because I did want to hear your mindset on that because I don't think we hear that enough. That this is actually changes and different ways of doing things. This is actually can be a good thing. Looking at it from a positive as an opportunity rather than being why won't they change and just do things the way we do? Well, you'll lose opportunities if you look at it that way.
Beat our heads against the wall, or we can try to figure out how to move it. I'm done. Mm-hmm. I'm done with the headache.
Yes, I don't want a headache. So now, Lee, share with us a time in your journey when you had a wake-up call. Take us back to that moment and share with us the steps you took that led to your success.
The most recent wake-up call was a few years ago. I had been sick, and and none of my doctors really, I was quite anemic, and like other women and who have companies, we just keep working through it. And finally, my doctors and I decided that yes, I should have a hysterectomy. And they told me it was going to take, you'll probably be up for at least 3 weeks, maybe 6. And so I set up the company, so I'm number one here. And everyone sort of really relied on me to do everything. So I took I decided to do the surgery, and then I took 6 weeks to organize everything. So everyone knew where everything was and who had authority and what they should do, and that they didn't need me. And I said, I'm not going to look at email. You're just not going to hear from me. So you guys have to make it happen, And I had a great team. I have such a great team. It's just awesome. So I had the surgery, and I was waking up from the surgery, and the doctor said, we didn't know how sick you were, Lee. You were really sick. And it's going to be at least 6 weeks. You can't even think about moving for, kind of stuff. It's all right, sort of, groggy from the drugs and everything. I'm all right, sort of processing that. And I got home and really slept for 3 weeks. Again, the sleeping. Sleeping's a theme. I watched, like I told you earlier, I watched Big Bang Theory because I couldn't lift my head. So I was just listening to Big Bang Theory over and over and over again. It was awesome.
Wow.
And at 3 weeks, I felt so much better. Oh my gosh, so much better. I said, you know what? I can go in the office, just say hi to people. I'm going to do that. And I walked into the bathroom to take a shower, and I looked in the mirror, and I thought I felt so awesome. And I looked in the mirror. First of all, my T-shirt's on inside out and backwards. my hair, which I thought was like in this very cute bun thing, was basically Bam Bam after, a meth raid. And my pants, I'd been pulling my pants up all morning, and and I was tying them. I was tying my pants, and I'm like, why do my pants keep falling down? Yes, I'd lost some weight, but I was like, ugh. And I looked down, and my pants are on inside out, and I'm actually tying threads, right? I'm tying threads. I'm not tying the actual tie. I'm tying threads in the pants. And I realized, holy cannoli, I'm a mess, right? And I thought, oh my gosh, I feel so good, and I'm such a mess. So I emailed my number two, and I said, I emailed her once, and I said, I'm alive. And now I emailed her again and said, you know what, I'm not coming in, and you won't see me for at least 3 weeks. And so and I went back to bed. I was like, I'm going to sleep. I'm going to sit in the sun. I'm going to take short, then longer and longer walks as I could handle it. And I was just like, they didn't know how sick I was. I obviously worked myself into being this sick, that surgery was required, and more serious surgery than they had planned. And I felt so good, but was really such a mess that it really hit me in the face. I'm like, you have got to rearrange your life. So I spent really the next 3 weeks sort of getting better. And then I came back to work half-time. I worked half-time, so I was out for 6 weeks, and then I worked half-time for 6 weeks. And I came back to work, and I said, I need to know, I want 2 lists from you all, my people who report to me. I want a list of the things that have been awesome that I have not been here. Like, what's been great about not having me in the room? And then I just need one thing on the other side. I need one thing you've missed. It doesn't have to be a very long list, but one thing. Just give me one thing that you've missed about me not being around. And I took that list of stuff, and while I was gone, they got new clients, they hired people, they fired somebody. All the business had moved forward. The business was healthier without me in the room. So I took both of those pieces and I said, okay, how am I going to make sure that we don't regress into where I was, but we actually move forward in a way, and I'm playing different. And so everyone else can play different too. And that was really the big wake-up call, that to shift the business, to shift responsibility, and not to, I'm always been out of people's underwear. Things don't have to always go through me, but to really move things so that, understanding that my first responsibility is to be well, is to take care of myself, because I can't take care of myself. The business cannot take care of, I can't take care of the business. And sort of just rearranging my priorities based on that experience was the big wake up call.
Wow. A couple things from what you were saying, Lee, because I don't think you're alone.
And, no, I'm not. I'm definitely not alone.
No, I think you're in very good company with millions of people around the world who are disconnected from what's going on in their bodies, right? Because we're so driven, we're so ambitious. There's what we think we should do and have to do, that we don't pay attention to the signs, and that for you in that moment, wow, what a poignant moment to realize, like, I feel good on the inside, but that must have been like a relative feel good yeah. As compared to what?
Right. Well, exactly. And how I feel today is so much different than how I felt then. But I felt awesome. I was like, I am ready to take on the world. And I walked in, and I have my bathroom has all these different mirrors on it, which clearly is a mistake. But it's like, holy crap, I'm a mess, and I can't let people see me this way. I can't let people see, and clearly I'd been a mess before, but I just powered through it, and people didn't know. Really people did not know how sick I was, because I would just power through the day. I would get home and I would fall, my husband, my family, they bore the brunt of me being so sick. My company didn't. My family did. And that I was, I started my company so I could be with my family. And what the heck was I doing,
Yes. And in a counterintuitive way, like, what a gift
Huge gift.
The illness was, because it took you out of your business so that you could see that you didn't have to be there as often as you were, or doing the tasks that you had been doing before. The people you had done the amazing job of hiring the right people.
Yes, which I pride myself on. And I came out of that, and I hired a coach, a woman who had worked in my company in groups, and I hired her, Lori Ogden Moore. She's awesome. And I hired her just to work with me. on what my plan was. Things became very clear when I was out. Like, this is the way I want to be. This is the way, this is 10 years from now. This is what I want to have achieved. And she, and I probably could have done it without her, but I would not have done it so quickly without her. She really helped. 4 months of coaching. And, I exited that coaching environment with a plan. And since it's been about 2 years, actually it's been 2 years, almost to the month, where I created that plan. And I just reviewed it with her the other day. She's a good friend of mine. And I just took it to her. I said, look, all these things. Click, I ticked off all the things one of the things in my plan was write a book in 5 years. Well, I wrote a book in the next year. The next thing in my plan was to hire somebody who was more operational than the person I had before. She's still here. She's fantastic. But someone who had a lot of operations experience. I hired him earlier this year. That was a plan for 2019. So once I had the plan down, I just sort of, these opportunities have dropped into my lap. The book dropped into my lap. This guy dropped into my lap. But without the plan, I don't think they would have.
I love that. And I think that I want to underscore that as well, that, and for everybody listening, write down the things you want to accomplish and set deadlines to it. You'll be amazed at how quickly they come about because you've set the intention to do them.
It's amazing.
Purpose.
It's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not a wish list.
No.
It's a goal with a deadline.
But I think the thing about goals, like goals should be in concrete. Plans may have to be in sand, right? You may get sick and you can't actually write the book on time, or your father may get married and all of a sudden you're spending much more time in Maine, or whatever it is, right? But the goal, if you have a goal, you can describe the goal. I want to live like this. I want to have this kind of company. I want to spend my time this way. The plan, you have to adjust the plan often. I've never, in my business, we create plans every single day, and no plan is ever executed the way it was written down. But the benefit of a plan is to know where you're supposed to be against your goal so that you can keep triangulating,
Keep pivoting.
So goals in concrete, plans in sand.
Got it. And Lee, I'm imagining in the past couple of years, your leadership style has changed pretty dramatically. So how would you describe the leadership style that you utilize today?
I think my leadership style is very enthusiastically encouraging. How about that?
I love it.
I've never been a leader that, had to look at everybody's work. I've never been a leader that looked over everyone's shoulder. I've never been a leader that didn't trust the people I hired. That has always been the case. But I really feel like I've gotten pretty crystal clear on my purpose in this world is to help good people do great things. And the people around me is, how can I be enthusiastically encouraging about each person in this entity, in my company, and so that they can achieve what they need to within the context of my company and with the context of their own life.
Oh, I can only imagine that must feel so good for them to be in that energy with them. Yeah. Well, I'm just imagining myself like, wow, even if it, I obviously own my own company, but to have somebody who was just of that energy level, like just enthusiastically encouraging me, like I would want, like I know how I operate. I would be like, oh, I can't wait to show them how much I've accomplished, right? I would be eager to accomplish things so I could come back and be like, see, you were right. I could do this, right?
Well, it happens often. It does happen often. It's my proudest moment. My proudest moment is when someone sends me an email about somebody else. You won't believe what Joe did. Oh my gosh, he kicked it out of the park. It was a walk-off home run, whatever. I don't need to know, but they tell me how great someone else was. It's my proudest moment because it's not about them. It's about the people they work with. And it's all in context of what their goals are for their own lives.
And that's a sign of a good culture, too, when they're spreading good gossip.
I love that. I'm writing that down.
Write that one down.
Good gossip.
Goals in concrete, plans in sand. I've got that one. All right, Lee, what is one thing you're working on right now that you're really excited about?
So I'm really excited about the book that I mentioned before, Millennials in Management. It's doing really well. It's being really helpful. And so I'm doing a lot of work around that. But coming out of that is I'm working on my next book. So I'm super excited about that, which won't come out till 2017.
Ooh, what's the topic of your next book?
Can't tell you yet, but I will come back.
All right.
We have talked about it. We have talked about it in the constructs of this interview.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll look forward to that. We'll get you booked up for when that's ready to come out. All right, Lee, now I'm going to do a quick leadership roundup. So tell us, what is one practice that helps to make you a better leader?
Taking care of myself.
Amen. And how do you do that?
I move every day. I drink lots of water, and I try to get a lot of sleep.
Perfect. And what is one book that you would recommend to a woman to help her develop her leadership?
So can I have 3? Sorry.
All right.
So there's 3 books that are my core. One is Leadership and the Art of Conversation by Kim Crisco. That's amazing. Seminal book. The second is Primal Leadership, which is by Daniel Goleman. And the third is The Advantage by Patrick Lencioni. And these 3 books together are just so inspirational to me. It's what gives me the tenets for what I do every day.
And who would you say is the type of woman that those 3 books together would be perfect for?
The type of woman who should read these books, which, well, I guess Primal Leadership is also written by a woman, are women who know they don't want to, know they need help, know they want to have the knowledge, who are curious about best practices and curious about learning from everybody else, and who aren't control freaks, but know that, what they're seeking is what is their best space? Where are they best? Because when you can focus on when you understand what your best is, then you can put in place the other pieces that that will augment your best piece. So I'll give you an example. I'm best when it's in football terms, it's the pregame, the kickoff, and the 4th and 1. Like before the game starts, what should we do? At the kickoff, send me in, because I want to be there when we, kick the ball. And then at the 4th and 1, when all the shit is hitting the fan, send me in, coach, because that's where I'm really good. I'm not good in the middle, right? And these books have really helped me understand that and be able to put the pieces around me.
It sounds like it's also a good book for a woman who wants to give up being in control all the time, recognizing that's not serving
frankly, her. If you're going to play small, you're going to be in control. I mean, there's no way you can get smaller than having to control everything.
Right. Being a one-woman show.
Exactly. I mean, how lonely.
Yes, and how draining.
Exhausting. It makes me exhausted to think about it.
So let's move on. All right, Lee, what advice would you give your younger self?
Don't pay attention to what people say about you.
Ooh, I like that. All right, now that'll segue into share with us a success quote and a mantra and why it has meaning for you.
So my success quote is from Dr. Seuss, the origin of all great things, which is, "And will you succeed? Yes, you will, indeed."
I love Dr. Seuss and Dr. Seuss quotes. All right. Lastly, Lee, what is the best way for this community to connect with you?
The best way to find me is on my personal website, which is www.leecaraher.com, or on Twitter at Lee Caraher.
And for those listening, you can find all the links and resources shared in this episode at womentakingthelead.com, or you can use the short link, which is womentl.com. And Lee, thank you so much for taking the time to inspire and enlighten us and make us laugh. We are all better for having met you.
Oh my gosh, Jody, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for joining me on Women Taking the Lead. Were you inspired to take some action today, but maybe don't know where to start? Or maybe you have so many great ideas you can't decide where to focus your attention. Don't let stress or overwhelm stop you from having the career, the business, or the life you want to live. Head over to womentakingthelead.com/coaching or use the short link womentl.com/coaching to sign up for a consultation with me. And to strengthen you on your leadership journey, I'd like to send you off with a quote from Marianne Williamson, so here goes. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine as children do. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It's not just in some of us, it's in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. Again, thank you for joining me, and here's to your success.